Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Karen and this is Karen's Knit Picks. So for today's episode, I have quite a few things to show you. Honestly, not a lot of updates in between from my last video. I have just truly been doing a lot of knitting, so I have quite a few things to share. Not a lot of finished things, but definitely like things to share. I have been sewing quite a bit, but I think I'm gonna keep that separate from my knitting podcast episodes. So I'm just gonna share, let's see, I have one finished object, a half finished object, and then it looks like 3 whips to share. So a lot to cover, so I am gonna get started. But before we do that, I just want to remind you to make sure to like and comment if you like my knitting podcast videos, or if you have anything that you want to see from me specifically, any feedback. I'm totally open and happy to hear it. So feel free to leave a comment if you have anything you want to share with me. And if you like my videos and you'd like to see more, please subscribe to my channel and you can hit the notification bell and you'll be notified when I post new videos. So without further ado, let's get started. So first up, I have one finished object for you. I have been working on this since like the end of March, and I just finished it a couple of weeks ago. So this is my Novice Cardigan Mohair Edition by Petite Knit. I will add in some clips of me wearing this because it's really cute. It's exactly what I wanted, even though I made a couple of modifications to the pattern. But style-wise, color-wise, it's exactly what I wanted. But it is way too hot today to put it on for you, so I will just share some clips so you can see what it looks like on me and you can see the modifications that I made. So about the pattern, this is the second Novice cardigan that I made. I made the chunky edition first in blue, and I shared that in my last podcast episode. I have like mohair in my nose. You can see the blue one that I made in my last podcast episode. I'll make sure to link it in the cards over here. I still have mohair in my nose, but it's fine. So this is the second one that I've made, and I have to be honest, I really struggled through this one. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's just like making 2 stockinette cardigans in a row, like same exact pattern, same everything, was just like really boring. And I was like halfway done with the body and I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to get through this. So luckily I did. I pushed through because once I got to the sleeves, I was kind of like, oh shoot, I'm almost done. So let me like really keep going and make this a good piece to have. So I'm happy I pushed through because it really is cute and I'm very glad that I have it now, but the process was not ideal. So but we made it and that's all that matters. So this is just a circular yoke cardigan. The original pattern has like bishop sleeves where it's like the same width all the way down to the wrist, and then you do like rapid decreases so that you get kind of like that balloon shape, and then you have the ribbing at the bottom, which I didn't do. I followed the pattern exactly on the other one that I made, and it was really nice, but I just know that that balloon sleeve is not really my style, so On this one, I decided to do a tapered sleeve, and I like it so much better. The only thing is, I think I wish I had picked up fewer stitches at the shoulder part, because when I have it on, it's kind of like I have like a bump and then it gets tapered, so it's just not like a nice smooth transition. And I think that's due to like the circular yoke and the amount of stitches that I picked up, so I probably would have just picked up fewer stitches. The other modification that I made was that I shortened the body quite a bit, just because I wanted this one to be like waist length, because the first one that I made, I knit it 2 patterns, so it comes like down to my hip and it's fine, but this one I thought I would probably want to wear it more so with over skirts and dresses, so I figured that a waist length would probably be a little bit more flattering for this one. So that's why I did that. I think you're supposed to knit and stockinette to like 38 centimeters. No, to 48 centimeters maybe. And I only knit it to 38 centimeters. And then I did 6 centimeters of ribbing. So I cut off like 10 centimeters from the original pattern. And it's a perfect length for me and exactly what I wanted. What else? I also decided to use matching buttons, so they're the exact same color as the yarn, which is it's what I wanted to do with the blue one, but because it was like the chunkier one, I didn't have like the right size buttons and an exact matching shade of blue, so I couldn't do it with that one. But I'm very happy that I was able to do it with this one, because I think it looks really, really cute. What else? About the yarn, I've talked about it quite a few times, but very quickly, I used Hobby's Friends Kid Silk Mohair in the color pink, and I held it 2 strands. It's a lace weight, so I held 2 strands together, and this is knit on 4mm needles. This mohair is super itchy. There's no way around saying that. It's really, really itchy. It's not comfortable, but it does look cute, and I feel like in the winter it might be a little bit more comfortable. I feel like right now it's super uncomfortable because it's hot and it's like sticky, so it's just making the itch feel worse. But I probably will make a note to wear this with like at least a short sleeve to cover like some of my arm, because it's not super soft. Only other thing is that I forgot to go down a needle size when I got to the cuff for my sleeves, so I knit those on the 4mm needle also. I think I was supposed to go down to a 3.5, and I just forgot on the first sleeve and I didn't want to redo it, so I left it and just did the same thing on the other sleeve. And it's fine. It fits perfectly fine for what I wanted, so I'm not concerned. And I think that is pretty much it. Overall, I think this is a great piece. I love it as a piece. It's not perfect, but I definitely will wear it, and I would literally never, ever, ever knit this again. I just think now that I've done it twice, there's better cardigan patterns. I think I have a little bit more experience now, and I can handle more complicated patterns, which you'll see in a second. So I just don't need to knit something like this probably ever again. But it was good, and I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad I have this cardigan, and I'm pretty much ready to move on from knitting this. So that's all. That's my first finished object. My second one that I'm going to share is a half finished object because it's a sock. So I finished one sock and I'm working on the other one now, finally. what's fun about this sock is, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this, but if you don't, this is probably like, where did that sock come from? Because I've never talked about this before this moment. But I started this sock back in February when I was taking my sewing classes. I just cast it on because I wanted something to work on the train while I was going back and forth to my classes every week. So after I finished my sewing classes, I basically like stopped working on it for like 2 months, maybe 2 or almost 3 months maybe. And yeah, I just like couldn't bring myself to work on it until, I don't know, maybe like the end of May, mid-May maybe. So yeah, so I finished this one kind of like at the end of May, maybe it was like June 1st or something. And then I cast on the second one almost immediately, like 1 or 2 days later. This is just a vanilla sock. I'm using the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla sock pattern. This is only my second pair of socks, and I've already decided that next time I make socks, I'm going to do something different. I have the 52 Weeks of Socks book, the first volume, and then I also have some sock patterns from Summerly Knits, and so I'm going to pick one of those to knit next time because I'm like pretty much over having just vanilla socks. I think I want something a little bit more interesting. I'm very into knitting texture right now, so that's kind of what I'm doing. So for this pair, I've knit a size medium, which is the 64 stitch count version, and I did exactly to pattern 20 row ribbing, 60 row leg, the regular slip stitch heel, and for the foot I did a couple of extra like inches, I think, from what I did on the first pair of socks, and these fit so much better than the first pair of socks did. I think on the last sock I did, I knit to like 7 3/4 inches, and for this pair I knit to like 8 inches or 8.5 inches, something like that, and this is like perfect fit for what I wanted. So I'm very glad that I finally figured out the sizing, because the other one fits, but it's like could be a little bit better because the heel is like not in the same spot that it should be. So I think I found perfect size for making myself socks. So I'm just going to follow the exact same pattern on this one. I'm knitting on 2.25 9-inch circular needles. The yarn is just the sock yarn from Hobby, the rainbow sock yarn, in the color like tomato, or maybe it's just called red, something like that. It's a wool blend. That's it. So hopefully this will be done the next time you see me because I'm ready to just like move on to knitting different socks at this point. So that's my half finished object. And now I've got a couple of finished objects, or nope, not finished objects. They are works in progress. Okay, so first up for my works in progress is my Friday tee by Petite Knit. Yay! I talked about casting this on as part of my spring knitting plans, and there's like 4 days left of spring and I cast it on, so it's part of my summer knitting plans now. So this I am knitting in Hobby's baby cotton, which is 100% Egyptian cotton. It's like this really pretty kind of like lavender color, and it's knit on 3mm needles. I'm just using my ChowGoo red lace cable needles. I love them. I probably should buy an interchangeable set, but I haven't yet. But I really love these needles. Like, I used to use wood needles, like just cheap wood needles from Amazon, and once I got the red lace needles to do my socks, the 9-inch circulars, I was hooked. I honestly can't imagine using any other needles. These are just like so good. They're so smooth. I love using these. I feel like my tension is really, really even with these. I like how slippery they are. So I am so glad that I decided to buy them, because I think it's made me a better knitter, if that makes any sense at all. So about the pattern, I am knitting a size small in this, which is for 95 centimeter bust, or 86, no, 95 centimeter bust, I think. And it's just knit in broken rib on 3mm needle, and then the ribbing at the top is on 2.5mm needles. It has a double folded collar, which I wasn't sure if I wanted to do, but because it's cotton, I was like, I feel like if I don't do it, the collar is going to be not so sturdy, because cotton stretches a lot and really loosens up. So yeah, I just went for the double folded collar, which we'll see how it goes once I get to wear it, but I don't know, we'll see. So far I like it though, and I'm gonna put elastic in it because I know that it will stretch eventually, but I have to find a video on how to do that. So if you have a recommendation on a tutorial for putting elastic into the knit collar, please send it to me because I need help. As far as the pattern goes, it is a raglan construction. It's really pretty. I love it. I'll do close-up so you can really see it, but I just love broken rib. It's so pretty. It just looks so good. And it's honestly not even that bad to knit. I know like some people just don't really like broken rib, especially in such a small needle size, but I am really enjoying it. I'm almost done with my increases. I maybe have like 10 rounds left of increases, and then I can split for the sleeves. And I just am enjoying this. This is my main whip that I'm working on right now, and I'm enjoying it. I look forward to knitting it. I definitely want to get this done so that I can wear it. Especially now that it's like getting to actually be summer and probably too hot even to wear like a knit t-shirt like this. So hoping I can get it done pretty soon and get to wear it a couple of times before it gets too hot. Overall, I think the pattern is pretty easy to follow. So if you're new here, I started knitting in October 2022, so it's been like 6 months, no, maybe like 8 months now that I've been knitting. So I'm not so like brand spanking new, but I'm not like advanced either. There's a lot of things that I haven't done yet, and I find that this pattern is really easy to follow. The short rows are like, they're short row shaping, by the way, on the back to shape the neckline, and I feel like it was like really easy to follow along with the pattern. I didn't have any issues. I wasn't confused by anything. The only thing maybe that I thought was confusing was like deciding how to create the established rib pattern, like when you get to like between each raglan stitch, like where to start the knit pattern, but I think it's gonna kind of end up just being like a personal choice. And I'm already committed to whatever I decided on, so we'll see how it goes, but I really think it's gonna be fine. And I think sizing wise, it seems to be pretty good. I've tried like just this portion on over my head, and I think it will be fine because it's really compressed right now with the ribbing. So I think once I finish it and get to block it, I think it's gonna bloom really nicely, and it's gonna be a really comfortable, nice like t-shirt to wear. This was one of the first patterns that I saw from Petite Knit, and I fell in love with it immediately because the broken rib stitch is just so beautiful. So I'm so glad that I'm finally working on this and that I'll get to add this to my wardrobe very soon. Yeah, I mean, I think the pattern is really easy to understand. I think if you know how to read a knitting pattern and you've knit a couple of garments before, this is something that you can definitely handle. Maybe you don't want to do it as like your first project, but like third garment project, you'd probably be pretty okay. And yeah, I'm really excited about this. I don't have much else to say about it. I'm still working through it, but happy to finally share it with you. My next project that I want to share is one that I'm very excited about. I did a lot of work on it last night, so that I would have something really fun to share with you. So this is my sweater number 18. Oh my god, it looks so good. I love this. I'm so excited. I love, so I said I was really into texture, and like this is the proof of it. I have been wanting to cast this project on for months and months and months. It would have honestly been the first sweater that I cast on had I not been like a beginner, you know, like if I had already known how to knit, probably would have just done this first because I was so excited about this texture when I first saw it that I just knew I had to make it, but I was like, oh no, it's going to be so difficult to make just based on like the way that it looks because, you know, I was a beginner and I didn't know anything. So I decided to wait, and I'm so glad that I'm finally getting to work on it now. So this is my sweater number 18 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I am knitting a size small, and I think I know I do this every time, but I'm literally the worst, and I never look at the pattern details, I never look at the yarn details, I just like sit down and hit record, so sorry that I'm not super informative. But I have a 95 centimeter bust, so I knit for whatever was the right size, which in this case happened to be a size small. That seems to be pretty consistent for me across all of the patterns that I've knit so far. I am using one of the recommended yarns, which is Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino and Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair, both in the color Marzipan. And I really, really like this. I think this is going to just be like so stunning. Such a stunning sweater pattern. This one was also included in my spring knitting plans because I've decided that I want to knit a little bit like ahead of schedule so that I have pieces to wear for the following season. So right now it's spring and summer, and I wanted to focus on knitting pieces that I could wear in the fall and winter. Number one, because I don't think I would wear very many knit pieces in the spring and summer anyway. I just like, it gets super hot in New York, and I'm a sweaty person, so it doesn't make that much sense for me to knit things. And I also just kind of felt like there's so many patterns that I want to make that I wanted to kind of catch up with everybody else. I was feeling a little bit left out, so I decided to just continue knitting with like fall and winter patterns, and so far that seems to be working for me, even though I'm a little bit slow and haven't actually gotten to knit very much, but I digress. So this one was on my spring knitting plans, and it's one of 4 patterns that was on my spring knitting plans. And I'm very excited because this is probably the sweater that I'm like most looking forward to. As I mentioned, I've been loving texture. I'm really, really, really excited about having sweaters with texture, because even pieces that I bought in the stores really don't have very much texture. I buy very plain pieces when I go shopping, so I think this is going to be such a great piece to add to my wardrobe. As far as the pattern goes, I've only worked the back panel so far, and I'm almost done with it actually. I have about 20 rows left of the back panel before I start working the shoulders and then do the front yoke. And it's so far so good. The first like sweater pattern that I knit was the sweater number 23 from My Favorite Things Knitwear, so I think having that background of knowing her writing style, her pattern style, and just some of the newer techniques that I had learned from that pattern are making knitting this pattern a little bit easier. So like doing increases on both the right and wrong side, for example, to shape the shoulders. And obviously, you know, knitting and purling is fundamental for this pattern because that's all it is. And just, you know, understanding the way that she writes things and how she explains things, I think has helped a lot with making this an easier pattern to work on. With that being said, it's super easy so far. I think it seems like it's a much more difficult pattern than it is. I was certainly intimidated by it when I was first starting to knit and I wanted to make it, but in retrospect, I think if it was, you know, one of the first things that I was making, I probably could have figured it out. So I kind of wish I had started it sooner, but whatever. I'm starting it now, so that's all that matters. So the pattern is knit on 5mm needles. Again, I'm using my Chawu needles that I love so much. The yarn, so the heavy merino, is a little bit scratchy, which I personally don't mind. This is definitely going to be a piece I wear a little bit more in like the winter, but I think it will be still fine. I think it's going to be a great piece to add to my wardrobe. And I like the pattern so far. So the pattern is first written out in like plain words with, you know, the typical abbreviations, and it's written out line by line, which is great. But for me personally, I want to make sure that I'm consistently advancing my skills, so I am trying to knit it using the charted pattern, which is super simple. I watched a couple of video tutorials on how to read a knitting chart, and I am like perfectly fine now after knitting. I mean, I've only knit maybe like 40 rows, something like that, and I feel completely comfortable looking at the chart. Obviously, you know, I do compare the two just to make sure that I'm staying on track and, like, you know, I'm highlighting the correct, like, the symbols that maybe are really similar, so that I can quickly see which one is which and that sort of thing, crossing off the rows that I don't have to do. And it's made it very simple because one of my next patterns, which maybe I'll make a separate video about, my summer knitting plans, fall knitting plans in general, as I would like to work on a lace pattern in the future, in the near future, and cables and things like that. So doing those more complex patterns that have charts, I think this is going to be a good background skill to have when I get to that point, because those will probably be some of the next pieces that I cast on and buy yarn for. And I want to make sure I feel comfortable and that I'm mastering the new skills that I'm learning. So I think that's pretty much it. Overall, it's a great pattern. I'm very excited to be working on it. I think the excitement of kind of knowing what's going to come next, but not totally, and having to look back at the chart and look at the pattern, I think is making it a lot of fun for me personally, versus like my Friday tee. I know what the pattern is, and it's a little bit more of a mindless knit for me compared to this one, where I have to look back at the charts, I have to look at the pattern, I have to see what's coming next. So it's very exciting for me to work on right now, and I'm glad that I was able to get so much of it done yesterday. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope I will have a lot more progress on this one for you next time, because I think I could really like zoom through it probably. So now that I've been talking on this one for 10 minutes, I have one more finished up. Nope. Why do I keep saying that? I have one more work in progress to share, and then I have a couple of yarn acquisitions that I would like to share. And then I think that's it. Yay. Okay, so my very last work in progress that I have to share today. Everything is falling. 1 second. So my last work in progress that I have to share is my scallop. All of my balls are falling. My scallop jacket. Yay! So this is a cardigan pattern by Stricka Kappa. She is, I think, a Danish knitwear designer. And yeah, this is all I have so far. I've only worked on it once. I just was really excited to be finished with my Novice cardigan, so I was like, let's just cast everything on. It's gonna be fine. So I cast this one on a couple of days ago, and this is all I've gotten so far. I just did, it has short row shaping, obviously, because it's not the same size all around. And it's just knit in 2x2 rib, and it has a raglan construction. I'm using, I think, 4mm needles for this. Again, my Chawu needles that I love and will never, ever, ever give up. And this one I think is going to be really fun because I have actually been really excited about this one. I've been thinking about casting it on again, like since this past winter, maybe like November, December. I think I found the pattern and I knew immediately that I wanted to cast it on, but I think I felt like I needed more experience, which, I mean, now in retrospect, like, yes, having the extra experience probably does help, but truly I don't think I needed it. I think this is one that I could have handled without the extra experience. So yeah, so I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. I'm happy to be working on it now. So about the yarn, if you recall in one of my previous videos, I had made a swatch for this and I couldn't decide if I wanted to knit this as is based on the swatch or if I wanted to add another strand of yarn to make it just a little bit fuller. So I decided to add a strand of mohair to this because I felt like the swatch was a little bit like gapey and there was just too much space in it for what I wanted it to be. So that's what I decided on. So the yarn that I'm using, I have 2 strands of alpaca and then 1 strand of mohair. This one is the alpaca silk from Hobby. It is a fingering weight alpaca silk blend. And then this one is the alpaca lace from Hobby. And and this one is 100% alpaca. It's like so beautiful and soft. And my original swatch was these two together, but the alpaca is fluffy, but it's not like super fluffy. So it felt like there was just a little bit too much of a gap between the stitches in the swatch, where I felt like it wasn't going to keep me warm the way that it probably should. So because of that, I went back and forth for like a month probably before I decided, but ultimately I decided to get some mohair. So this is just Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Rainy Day. It's just like a medium gray. It's a little bit lighter than I thought it was going to be, but I think it works really well with the other two grays, where it makes this really beautiful, like kind of heathered gray color. And it's really nice and fluffy. It's super soft. So I'll make sure I add in a close-up so you can really see what I'm talking about, but it makes for a really beautiful fabric. And I think this is going to be exactly what I'm looking for this kind of cardigan. So about the pattern, I mean, I've not done very much of it at all. I've only done like 20 rows. Nope, I don't even think I've done that much. I think I just lied to you. Maybe I've done like 20 rows with the short rows and everything, but I haven't done very much. So I so far find it to be very easy to read and understand, but I have very little to compare it to. I'm not very far into the pattern. The yarn has been really great to work with. The 3 strands together is pretty thick, which I was surprised about, but it feels very nice. This is my first time working with 3 strands. Usually I only work with 2, so it feels fine. I don't really see the balls of yarn getting super tangled or anything, so I'm not really concerned about that. The short rows, again, were really easy to understand. I feel like I've only done them twice now before, on my Friday tee and then on my sweater number 23, and yeah, I feel completely comfortable using them. So yeah, I think so far this pattern is going to be really great to work on. I just have to give it a little bit more time. So that's pretty much it. I don't have very much to share on this one. So I guess we'll get into my little yarn haul. I only have a couple things because I should not be buying yarn right now. Okay, so I have a little kind of like sock yarn haul. I don't think I've shared these with you. If I have, like, oops, sorry, you're gonna see it again, I guess. But I was watching a video from Handmade by Florence, and I guess like I didn't think about it, but she was talking about the different fibers that she likes to buy for her sock yarn, and I guess I never considered that like sock yarn comes in different fibers other than wool, but like of course it does. Like I don't know why I didn't think it would, but it does. So I wanted to try out sock yarn with different fibers basically. So that is what I got. So I got 4 balls, 4 hanks of sock yarn. I just ordered these from yarn.com, and they are just Cascade yarns. These are the Cascade Heritage sock yarn, which is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. I got 4 colors because I kind of just, well, number one, obviously I want to have socks in a couple more neutral colors. The only sock yarn that I've bought before is like super bright, bold colors, like my red sock. I have self-striping sock yarn, so they're just not like everyday sock colors really. So that was why I got so many colors. But I just thought it would be interesting to try socks that are made with merino wool. All the other sock yarn that I have in my stash or that I've used is a wool polyamide blend. I don't think I've ever used I have any sock yarn that has nylon. I think all of them have polyamide. So I thought that this would just be a good, easy way to try. So yeah, I just got 4 of these. This one is the color limestone. I got a navy one. This is like a khaki, and then I have like a chocolate brown. And I haven't used them yet, obviously, but I think I am gonna probably cast one of these on for a pair of socks, and then one of these on for a pair of socks. And I just kind of get a feel for the difference between the 2 different yarns and see what I like, and maybe I will just buy better quality sock yarn in the future. So these are also from Cascade. These are the Heritage Silk sock yarns. So these are 85% superwash merino wool and 15% silk. And I just wanted to try something that was a little bit more luxurious with the silk and the merino wool. So that's why I got these. That's pretty much all. I don't remember what these are called. This is like light pink, and then this is just the regular white or maybe natural color. I will make sure to link everything in the description box below, because you know me, I don't look up anything about what I'm talking about before I have to talk about it. And I think I'm gonna cast on this one for a lace sock, and then I'll use one of the other ones for like just a regular textured sock. But so far I think I like this one better in the hank. It seems like it's a little bit softer, but this one is like, I don't know, squishier. I'm not sure. I guess I'll have to knit them up and see how I feel about it. And the other reason that I got these was because I don't really vibe with like hand-dyed yarn. But I do feel like hand-dyed sock yarn is kind of interesting, and I feel like that is like a fun place if you're going to dabble with hand-dyed yarn. Like, that's a place to go. But I wanted to understand what kind of fibers for sock yarn I preferred, so I just wanted to try a couple of different bases before I like spend all my money on hand-dyed sock yarn. So that was why I decided to get these, because these are pretty affordable. They're like $9 and $11, something like that. Or actually that might be a lie. I think these were like $20 and this was maybe $11, but still affordable compared to other sock yarns. So yeah, so I just wanted to give them a try, and I will let you know once I finish my red sock. I will probably cast one of these on, so we'll see. Okay, so I think that is pretty much it for today's knitting podcast. I had quite a bit to share, and hopefully I will have some more progress next time I talk to you. I'm really just enjoying knitting. Every day I tell my fiance, like, I wish I had 1,000 hands so that I could knit all the things that I'm excited about, because I feel like I'm just really into it right now. I'm really excited about a lot of the patterns that are coming out from Petite Knit and like Coco More Knitwear, Lynette, Gregorio Fibers. Like, I just think there's been so many beautiful patterns lately that I'm really excited about, and I want to knit all of the sweaters. That's it. I just want to knit the sweaters. So yeah, I'm very into knitting, and hopefully it won't be so long between now and the next podcast episode. So with that, I think we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for watching and for coming back to my videos. I really appreciate it. And I hope you'll stick around for my next episode. If you would like to subscribe, again, feel free to do that by clicking the subscribe button below and hitting the notification bell to get notified when I post new videos. You can leave a comment. I'm always looking for comments. I will definitely respond, so please leave comments. And you can like this video also if you enjoyed it. So that is all. I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!